Conference of this new era was today. So much to talk about that on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast.
Are we here? Are we live? Is it just me? Am I alone? Oh, I guess I'm alone. Oh, crap. Let me bring Alex back. Sorry, guys.
There we go. There we go. Welcome back. Welcome back
There
to
we
episode
go.
381, the Hump Day edition of the Purple Rain podcast. Also, the Anquan Bolden, Kalen Clay, Owen Daniels, Hayden Hurst, Michael Jackson, Benjamin Victor, and most recently, Devontae Walker edition of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with us. We truly do appreciate it. And yeah, we do have some news to talk about today on a nice Wednesday. So I'm glad you are be able to spend your Wednesday evening with us. First off, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. This guy right here on Instagram or on X at SunDef. Me, Instagram simply as10.prod, X simply as10. And yeah, it is the era now of the Jesse Mentor era, the Anthony Weaver defensive coordinator era, and the Declan Doyle offensive coordinator era. So a lot to talk about today. I wasn't able to watch it, but I'm going to be reacting kind of first time to what they were saying. So, Sutton, you watch it. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're feeling good after hearing these guys honestly talk for the first time to the press.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, it is a totally new era, new regime here in Baltimore, and I could not be more excited about it. I said it last night on Quiet Storm Sports, Alex. I said this is the most important offseason. This is the biggest offseason in Ravens history. And somebody brought up at the press conference, we'll get to that later. They brought up that the last time that there was a full coaching overhaul, right, for this Ravens team, it was like basically since their inception. Declan Doyle, new Ravens offensive coordinator, wasn't even born the last time this happened. So it's truly like unmarked waters, unprecedented territory. So I'm excited about it. I mean, they said a lot of good stuff. Now, it was funny, Alex, because yesterday they were on the Lounge podcast. As you guys know, they're contracted by the Ravens and things like that. So I said, I thought the gloves were really on with some of those questions, right? Big 8-ounce gloves like you see in boxing. But today, with the Ravens media, who don't necessarily work right underneath the Ravens, right? But of course, they have their press passes. They don't want to get them taken away. But the gloves, I don't want to say they came off, but they went from 8-ounce gloves that you see in boxing to like 4-ounce gloves that you see in MMA. It was a little bit more harder hitting questions, and we'll get to that, in a minute as well. I do want to say, Alex, before we get to any football talk, I'm attending UFC Houston this weekend.
Really,
Yes, I am.
really.
It'll be my
Oh,
very first UFC event. And I was on Instagram yesterday, and I follow your boy Kevin
I,
Holland.
are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to the meet and greet.
Please,
Yeah.
please get a picture with him. Oh, I'm
I was
jealous.
gonna, yeah, I was gonna get a picture with him. I was gonna ask if you wanted me to get him to sign something for you. I can maybe send it to you, something like that. I feel like that'd be really cool. I don't really
I
have
just have
anything that
the shirt. I just
you have
have
the
the shirt.
shirt.
Man, that's
Yeah, that'd be so
sick.
dope.
That
Yeah,
is
man.
honestly
So
though.
I
Just
yeah,
watching Joshua Van's gonna be there. Like he's kind of like
yeah,
one of those pulling out
champ.
of the stars now. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
sick, man. He fights this weekend
him.
too, Holland, right?
No, Holland does not fight this weekend.
He fights soon. I'm sorry. I think it was.
He fights so often, it's like you wouldn't be surprised if he was fighting on every other card, right? But nah, he doesn't fight this weekend. I would
Okay.
have definitely known
Okay.
about that one. But also Derek Lewis is gonna be somewhere in the vicinity as well. Like that'll be dope meeting him too. So it's gonna be a good time. And like I said, it's gonna be my first UFC event ever attending live. So I'm sure I'm gonna have a blast, but I just want to let you know that, before this weekend. So big weekend plans for your boy. You know what I mean? But again, I feel like we've been neglecting the Rain Gang for, the first 4 minutes of this episode. Let me go ahead and see who's here in the live chat. Shout out to everybody who's watching live. We got always Blessed 410 in the house. King Blaze is in the house as well. We got Ashley Royalty. Another one of our members says, hey, son, what's going on, Ashley? Appreciate you for coming through. We got Tila in the house. What's going on, Tila? Tila's the moderator. That's what the M stands for. So if you're acting up, you're getting thrown out, right? You get kicked out of the club by our girl, Tila. Appreciate you, Tila, for coming through. Slicer says, what up, Alex? What's going on, Slicer? Chef Spicy Rice, another member in the house. What up, what up, what up? Glaucoma, what up, my boy? Appreciate you for coming through, rocking out with us. We got Dre in the house as well. Says, what's up, Purple Rain Gang? Appreciate you, Dre. We also have Shelly Shell, another member in the house. What up, Shelly? What up, Shelly? Good afternoon, good evening, whenever you might be listening to this. Actually, real quick, want to give a shout out to the replay gang.
Mhm.
Replay gang, you guys have been checking in the comments after the fact. Shout out to you guys. The support from you guys does not go, unnoticed at all. So if you're part of the replay gang right now, please leave a comment down below with the hashtag replay gang and leave us your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, whatever you got on this episode. But most importantly, everybody, please take a moment to leave a like on the video. A little thumbs up goes a long way for us here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel in terms of the algorithm and all that good stuff. So if you could, please go ahead and do that for us. We appreciate it. Let me see. We also have Drewski89, another member in the house, says, yo, Drewski. Appreciate you for rocking out with us. Coming through to this episode 381 of PRP. Glaucoma says here, it's a new era for real. And yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. Also, we got Black Daniels in the chat. I see you says listening on standby. Appreciate you for
Love
coming
that.
through, Black Daniels. Always supporting. Appreciate that, brother. Now, listen, before we get into the whole presser stuff, because I have some clips pulled up that we're going to, talk about and discuss, Alex, but there was some news that came out earlier from around the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs, right? Patrick Mahomes just got his deal restructured, right? And this was like a very big thing for Ravens fans because it kind of puts the ball in Eric DeCosta's court a little bit more than before on getting this Lamar Jackson extension done. But let me actually go ahead and give you the details on what the Kansas City Chiefs did with Mahomes' deal. So the Chiefs restructured Patrick Mahomes' contract today, which lowered his cap number from 78.2 million, which is kind of close to what Lamar Jackson's cap number would be, if they didn't do a deal this offseason. They lowered it from 78.2 million to 34.65 million, which created them $43.56 million in cap space. And they are still about $11 million over the projected cap after the restructure. So Chiefs are a little bit, kind of in cap hell, and that's what happens when you give your quarterback $500 million. You sign him to a deal like that, you start kicking the can down the road. Eventually, you're going to have to pay the piper, right? So, but what did you think about this deal, Alex, when you heard about it?
Just playing Cap Olympics. It's never good when you do that. We saw the Saints do that for a while. Multiple years, I think, when they were in their era of the NFC South, just kind of winning that, but going for the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you this though. Patrick, we said his hit is what, 34 million? That's 2 million more than Roquan Smith's cap hit this year. Just to kind of put it in perspective.
Insane,
To put it in
insane.
perspective. I had to pull it up. I knew Roquan was
Hell
over
nah.
30. He's at 32 mil, which is insane. But never good to be playing Cap Olympics now. I think they have a great deal with him. What it was 10-year, 500 mil. They signed him. I remember it was like 2020, prime lockdown. They kind of just threw that contract out there. But I think with Kelsey's a free agent. It looks like Rasheed Rice might not be back. I saw
Right.
Tyreek might go back, but what does that really do? I think they're stuck in a sticky situation because that division, man, it's only gotten better. And to be honest, they've only gotten worse. Defensively, I have questions. Offensively, I have bigger questions. They let Joe Tooney go. I know Jawan Taylor, he'll be a 20 million cap hit, but they'll release him and that'll be some more dead cap. So they got to do a lot more moves like that to get out of this cap hell. But I guess you got to start somewhere. So they started it, but good on them. But you bring it back to the Ravens. I wonder what that would look like
Right.
if the Ravens were to try to do that with Lamar. I know obviously we want to extend him. That's kind of the easy way to do it. But we heard Bishotti say in what was it, Jesse Minter's? No, it was the EDC presser, kind of saying like no matter what, Lamar will be our quarterback next year, whether he has to add void years. You know, Steve B, he's willing to pay it, but EDC now is you got to work your magic and you got to extend him because I don't really want to play these games and then allocate his dead cap because I want to be good for years, not just a couple. So keep it going.
Yeah. And for sure, I mean, I agree with what you said 100%. And, they got to get it done quick, fast, and in a hurry, right? I mean, we talked about on Monday's episode how there's already guys who are, projected to hit that free agency market. I mean, Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill have already been released. Wyatt Teller, guard for the Browns, who we talked about last week on the pod with Charm City, he already announced today he's not going to be with the Browns again. He's going to be looking for a new team to play for. So, and I've mentioned a bunch of guys that I've wanted as well. One particularly John Franklin Myers. You guys know how I feel about that guy. If they want to get any sort of deals done in free agency, Alex, the bottom line is they got to get this Lamar deal done and they have to get it done soon, right? And like we mentioned, Steve Bisciotti alluded to that. And if they come to a stalemate, much like they did last time, they're just going to tack on those void years and roll with the punches that way. I mean, hopefully Lamar Jackson is fully on board and we don't get to a point where he's requesting a trade or publicly taking an adversarial stance against the Baltimore Ravens because of contract talks going awry in any way, shape, or form. So again, the ball is totally, and I mean totally, in Eric DeCosta's court. Get it done, right? So that's that. I mean, there's also, I mean, I think you told me before the show, the Chiefs are also in some hot water with Rashee Rice. Allegations and whatnot heating up. They might have to go ahead and let him go. The Chiefs, I think I saw somebody say in the chat. I think it's Chef Spicy Rice. Yeah, he said the Chiefs are an afterthought now. Their division is getting tougher. I mean, the Broncos, they were just in the AFC Championship game, and had they had their starting quarterback, probably could have made the Super Bowl, right? I mean, the Patriots didn't win that game super convincingly. They didn't, albeit a snow game, Snowmageddon. But they also have the Chargers. The Chargers, who I think are a couple of pieces away on that offensive line, right? Justin Herbert, as much as we want to say he's a playoff choker, which pound for pound, he is. Let's not get it twisted, but they're only a couple of pieces away from being legitimate contenders in that AFC West division as well. So the Chiefs, they've got their work cut out for them. And I think I saw somebody else say in the chat, they got to kill it in the draft. And they absolutely do. That's 100% factual, right? So we'll see what Veach and those boys got up their sleeve come April, and that when the draft time comes. But for now, it's not the best time to be a Chiefs fan. Am I right?
Yeah, and I'm looking. I think Dre brought it up. He said he hopes Lamar doesn't sign until April. We don't go through April like last time and get the deal done. And I cannot agree with that more. I pulled up our 2023 off-season transactions, highlighted by Odell Beckham Jr., who we had to obviously overpay to kind of show Lamar, hey, we want you here. We signed Nelson Aguilar, Rock Ya-Sin, and Trayvon Mullen. Where is your X factor? Where is your guy that this makes that team better? They aren't there. If you sign him before the free agency period, maybe you could have kept the guy like a Ben Powers, because he was our big free agent leaving. Getting it done before that new league year opening is just, you can't speak about how important it is, because you can keep possibly maybe one of your guys, maybe like a Kolar. I think likely is as good as gone. I really do. Or you can maybe get it on a guy like Teller. Maybe he wants a good amount of money, but you've got to clear this cap up first. You've got to get it done before, was it March 10th? I want to say 11, 12. Get it done before
Yeah.
then. It's a domino effect, because then you can't sign who you really want to in mid March, and then you have to maybe wait and wait. And we got it done, I think, the day of the draft in 23. So late April.
Yeah.
Late freaking April is when we got his first extension done. Has got to be better. And wow, Tila,
Uh-oh.
she said, I am better.
Uh-oh.
She's gifted the 5 memberships. Thank you, Tila. And hope if you got one, say thank you to Tila. Well, thank you. Really
Shout
appreciate
out Tila. Round of applause for her making it rain here for the Rain Gang with the 5 gifted memberships. Tila, thank you so much for supporting all that you do here, being a moderator, and just again,
Thank
Christmas came in February, right? 5 new memberships. We are going to do another giveaway here soon. So look, a lot of you guys just got blessed. Let me go ahead and call them out here. Again, shout out to Tila. Make sure you give her a thank you in the chat. Big W's for her. Black Daniels, you are now a member of the Rain Gang, courtesy of Tila. Like, subscribe, 89.97. You are now a member of the Rain Gang, courtesy of Tila. King AMT 95, you are now a recipient of a Rain Gang membership due to Tila. Grails Only, you as well. And Adam B5460, you are all now part of the Rain Gang membership. All thanks to Tila M85. Thank you so much, Tila,
thank
again,
you.
for all of your support and gifting those 5 memberships here in the chat. Salute to the Flock fam. We also have Dwiz in the chat as well. Another one of our members here, part of the Rain Gang family, says salute Flock fam. Salute to your brother. Hopefully you're having a great day. And yeah, wow, that kind of derailed us for a second,
Yeah.
but in a great way. I mean, you couldn't get any better than that. Thank you so much, Tila. I appreciate that. Okay. So, Alex, I think it's time to go ahead and get into what we came here to get into, what the people are waiting for, right?
Okay.
Today we had the inaugural press conference with not only just Jesse Minter, because we had one of those a couple of weeks ago, but with his like the main cats in his coaching staff, right? So special teams coordinator Anthony Levine Sr. I mean, he said a lot of good stuff today, even though it wasn't, you know, not too much. I don't have any clips pulled up of him, but Declan Doyle and Anthony Weaver as well said some really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and transition here as we normally would do to our little media screen here. Alex, let me know or let us know if Alex is still on the screen because last time I guess he didn't
Here,
start off on the screen. We're good.
I
Okay,
see
cool,
myself. We're good.
cool. Perfect. So, Alex, let's start with this. And we talked about how we're going to do this before we went on live here. We're going to play these clips one by one, and you're going to react to them. I'm going to go second. This one first here is from Jesse Minter talking about the new era in Baltimore.
I think there's a great piece of being here before and understanding the foundation, understanding a lot of the history, understanding what this place has been built on, while also having formulated some of my own different ideas over the last few years. And so I think there's a foundational way that the Ravens play that we need to play like. But I also think that there's a new age, and a new way to do things. And that's the reason we're all sitting up here, is that change can be embraced, change can energize people. And so we really look forward to, I think it'll be up to everybody watching us to see what's different about it. Not necessarily us, but everybody watching to determine what maybe the differences are.
First off,
Yeah.
my head coach, Jesse Minter, I'm not feeling the blazer and the hoodie.
I knew you were going to go there first.
I never
knew
have.
it.
I mean, it looked good on Andrew Whitworth because he's a bigger guy. It just doesn't look good on a skinnier guy. Jesse, we got to get that fixed up first off. I hope that the game day fits are much better. But I love what he said. I think we kind of had a little bit of a mini debate about the whole play like a Raven. He knows what that means, but I think change also is never, to me, change isn't a bad thing. Him bringing his own philosophy, his own installment of play like a Raven, I think will make this team better. And if we're being honest, play like a Raven in past years was choking games, choking games to bad teams, losing to bad teams, losing to the Raiders and Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
That has got to change. Beat the teams like that and just rise to the occasion. That is what I want the new era to be. Jesse mentioned that right there. That gave me goosebumps. I loved hearing that. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Obviously, got to see it on the field, but saying the right things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the him understanding, like you mentioned, and like he mentioned, the standard that is playing like a Raven and what that really means and what it embodies, right? Just from being part of the organization before, that's valuable. But marrying that to his own style, his own way of doing things, I think that the combination of the two, the marriage of the two, creates a whole new sort of style that nobody has seen before. And we can get into like schematically and all the X's and O's and things like that. But I think just again, just the philosophy, right? Marrying his style of how he wants to do things and how he wants to run things with the traditional way that the Ravens are run is going to create something brand new that I don't think the league is ready for. So I'm excited as hell for this new era. He also mentioned about how, him and Mike McDonald, who, obviously Super Bowl winning coach now, they have a lot of similarities and now he's chasing them. You know what I mean? He's chasing Mike McDonald and, he could have easily said like, I don't think about that sort of stuff. I don't want to compare myself and yada, yada, yada. But like, he knows that's the blueprint, right? And that blueprint that we just saw Mike McDonald run won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, him saying these words here, I can't say enough how excited I am and how big this offseason, how much this really means to this Ravens organization. Loved everything about it. Let's move on here. Jesse Minter also talked about working with Anthony Weaver as well. As we know, Minter is going to be the one calling the plays on the defense. But he talked a little bit about, what working with Weaver is going to accomplish as well, what that will look like.
Yeah, we certainly had conversations about that. So he understood what the job was going to be, but I also was looking for a leader and somebody that could run that room. I know I'm not going to be able to be in there maybe quite as much as I was as just the defensive coordinator. And so the leadership piece, the knowledge piece, we've ran similar schemes the last couple of years where he's been at, where I've been at. He obviously came from here before. So there's so many great qualities of him knowing the surroundings, knowing what it means to be a Raven, knowing how we're trying to kind of rebrand that a little bit and make it a new age way to play like a Raven. And so I'm super confident in Anthony's ability to lead our defense and then us to work very, very close together in the game planning process. And a lot of times, and Declan was in a similar situation last year. And so we've talked about that where it's really like they're able to do a lot of that work and be prepared as if they're even going to call the game, and then knowing that at the end of the day, that's the role I'm going to have on game day.
New
Yeah.
age, kind of what we just kind of spoke on, but I love that. You know, I think Anthony Weaver, I accepted he was going to be a head coach. So the fact he came here as a DC makes me all the more just excited, I want to say. And obviously, with him being a DC, he'll be around the defense 24/7. Minter can't do that, so he'll be getting his reports from Weaver, and it doesn't hurt having a guy who's instrumental in having a triple crown Ravens defense not too long ago. Never hurts having him on your staff and just kind of having a guy who galvanizes the troops. I remember watching him in the Wired in 2023. Like really was in the meetings, really just had all the players' attention. I think it's gonna be a slam dunk, man. I'm really excited watching this.
Yeah, I mean, same. He mentioned yesterday actually a lot of things, and we're going to get to Anthony Weaver next. Before we do, though, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel as well if you are enjoying the content. Again, we are the Purple Rain Podcast. My name is Sutton Def. That is simply as 10. But let's continue here. No, yeah, I mean, like you said, I love everything that he said about Anthony Weaver and just kind of like the collaboration. But like I was saying before on the Lounge podcast yesterday, Anthony Weaver talked about how he has zero ego, no ego going into this role. Like he could easily come into this role and kind of turn his nose up at Jesse Minter and be like, I called plays before in Miami, and now I can't call plays anymore. All right, well, you know what I mean? I'm just going to take a step back and I'm just going to kind of be an armchair DC. But no, he wants to be hands on. He wants to make these guys better, right? And, you can just tell when you listen to Anthony Weaver speak, this is his home. Baltimore is his home, right? Like he wants to be here. He wants to coach up these guys and he relishes the opportunity to be the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Even so, even though he mentioned to himself, he also mentioned in an answer, he said, "Hey, look, yeah, I was disappointed." He was truthful. He was said, "Yeah, I was disappointed that I didn't get a head coaching role." Right. But again, he's not going to let that affect him. He's not going to let that affect his coaching ability and what he needs to do here in Baltimore. So again, love that from Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter said a lot of good stuff. Honestly, I felt like Jesse Minter was a little bit more relaxed in this interview, in this presser as he was, before in the one that a couple of weeks ago where it was just him. You know what I mean? I think it was him and Eric, right? It was him and Eric who came out. Yeah. But this is just awesome. And Sashi Brown, I want to say as well, was out there too. But this him, kind of introducing his coaching staff, you can tell he's got the confidence. It's growing, and I can only imagine by the time April rolls around, right, and the players start to show up, and by the time training camp rolls around, and the season, he's
Yeah,
going to be full in lockstep, having full command of this team, and I cannot wait to see it. I can't, right?
yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Like, from these two clips I've seen, he's very energetic. Eyes open. I think just his body language, the way he's talking, he's excited. I think he realized, like the position he's in, he has guys who he is fully confident in their ability. Maybe he didn't think he would get Anthony Weaver as his DC because, like I said, I thought he was going to be a head coach. Maybe he's excited of like what type of staff he assembled. He knows the type of just potential they have. So definitely gonna be a reason why he's so happy. I mean, while we're happy, I think I didn't expect us to have this route. The coaching we had. I mean, I wasn't expecting to take a damn good O line coach, Weaver, a young up and coming mind. How Joe Lombardi as the offensive assistant. No, I mean, I'd be excited too if I was him. Like I'm in a great position to succeed, and I want to be the next Mike McDonald, next one where I'm like the Chargers. Like I cannot believe we let him walk out the building, or I cannot believe he was there. We didn't give him a promotion. That's what he wants to be. And, I hope we have it. I hope we're the Seahawks. And we're the ones like, well, thank you
Yeah.
for him.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing, Alex. When I go to, the Reddit streets, and I've been on the Reddit forums heavy lately, I got to admit to you, Alex, I got to admit, it's like a dark cave, but there's a lot of truth that comes from a Reddit forum where there's a bunch of anonymous fans just kind of giving their takes. And I frequent Chargers Reddit, right? And I look at what some of them are saying. They're like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I wish we would have kept Jesse Minter, man. He's going to be the next Mike McDonald. Why did we let him go? Should have been head coach." Yet, all the things, right? And so those sort of things, while I take it with a grain of salt, because again, it's just fans, like anonymous fan opinions, right? But when you have hardcore fans, like like us, like it would be like me going on a Ravens forum and just telling the truth about the Ravens from a Ravens fan's perspective. It's the truth, right? I mean, you can take that you know, for what you want. But I think there is some truth to it as well. I think that this guy has all the tools necessary in order to take this team to the next level. But Alex, let's go ahead and move on here. Let's talk a little bit more about Anthony Weaver. Anthony
Mhm.
Weaver he talked about in this clip here, he talked about getting the Ravens defense back to a point where teams fear the Ravens defense. I can't remember the player who it was, Alex, and remind me if you know, if you can remember. It might have been Marlowe, but it was somebody else. They said that one of the big issues with the Ravens defense was that, you know, offenses did not have any sort of like reservation. They weren't scared of the Ravens defense, much like they were in years past, right? Like somebody was, I can't remember which player it was. It was like, it feels like nobody's scared of us. You know, we show up and they just kind of punch us in the mouth. They basically have their way. You know what I mean? So Anthony Weaver here is talking about bringing that fear back to the Ravens defense.
It's funny because you say that, and I instantly go back to this shirt from when I was like a rookie. They used to say it's better to be feared than loved, right? And it had a Baltimore Raven on it. I know it wasn't like an officially issued shirt, but I go straight to that. And ultimately, I just think it's about how we play, right? It's about us like going out there and flying around to the ball, having 11 guys connected, right, that are in a flow state, that kind of know what each other is doing, and we're just flying around. Looks like a pack of wolves. Looks like we have 13 guys out there. That's what we're chasing. Defeating blocks. If you get a chance to intimidate and hit somebody, let's do it. Let's make sure we do that. But the one thing I know is just having been with so many of these guys prior, like they have that. It's ingrained in their DNA. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. So we're just trying to get back to that standard. I don't know what happened the last 2 years. I know when I turn on the tape, there's still a lot of things you get excited about. We just got to make sure we're more consistent in those actions to get back to where we want to be.
Wow. First off, it'll be a travesty if we don't have one of the Ravens promo videos not narrated by Anthony Weaver. I think he has the voice for that, first off.
He does. He definitely
he has
does.
the voice. Second, he's mentioned, I don't know what happened that the past 2 years. Number one, you left. Number two, a lot of the coaches you coach with left. That's where it all went. And you mentioned the quote before about nobody fearing the Ravens defense. I believe it was Marlon because he talks the most, but he was right. Last year, we gave up 44 points, 41 points, 38 points, 37 points, 32 points, 28 points, most of it in the second half, 27 points to Aaron Rodgers, 26 points to Aaron Rodgers, 24 points to Malik Willis, 19 to JJ McCarthy. All right.
Crazy.
But our wins. How Tua, how Tyrod Taylor, how Shador and Dylan Gabriel, held Joe Flacco.
Talk about it, man.
Hearing that is nice, and obviously, we heard Zach Orr say the same thing. For me, though, I feel like Anthony Weaver went a bit deeper in what he said. So, I hope you walk the walk because we need it. We really do.
For sure. And, one of the big things that I took away from it, he mentioned, it should seem like we have 13 guys out there. And, oddly enough, my mind just went to the Seahawks and the whole 12th man, whole thing that they got going on there. And the fact that he took it a step further and said it should be like 13 guys out there. I mean, I loved that. You know what I mean? Like this guy knows what he's doing. He knows what he's saying. I'm sure he said that on purpose, right? It wasn't by mistake. Now, a big thing for me is him mentioning it seeming like there's 13 players on the defense. What does that mean? That means that guys have to be playing confident, playing fast, playing together, and communicating, right? And these are things that we did not see on the defense last season. And like you mentioned, all of those performances that quarterbacks had against us. I mean, for crying out loud, Aaron Rodgers had 2 vintage performances against this Ravens defense. You know what I mean? And that was completely unacceptable. Completely and totally unacceptable. But in large part because the Ravens defense had a lot of miscommunication issues. I mean, you're talking pre-snap, guys are looking left and right. Like you got you got cornerbacks who are on the boundary, right? Looking left to like off the field and looking right, like they don't know what the hell they're about to run, and like it's just you need somebody who's going to reel that defense in and give them the confidence and give them again, like I said before with Mentor, all the tools that they need to play fast and play physical and play free. You know what I mean? It felt like they weren't really doing that at all. It felt like they were reacting to offenses and not actually like, being proactive, right? And going and getting the ball, right? And going and forcing turnovers. And that's really what it's about. That's how you instill fear in an offense, right? When an offense keeps your defense like second and third and fourth guessing themselves, you're gonna see yourself in a lot of shit storms of games, right? Where you're getting destroyed. Teams are putting up 400 yards passing on you. Running backs are going off on you, even though our run defense wasn't terrible last year. But you get my point, right? You're not gonna see guys like Josh Allen, guys like JJ McCarthy, walk us down and go up and down the field. It's just I'm excited. I'm excited. I say all that to say I'm excited to see what Anthony Weaver brings back to this defense. And also, one more thing. I saw somebody say in the chat that I don't have the clip here, but he definitely did mention this. April123, shout out to you, says, did y'all peep how Weaver mentioned he's been talking to Madubuike? He
Mm.
did mention that because somebody asked him about I can't remember what they asked him, but he went on a tangent. He ended up saying, like, yeah, like I've been talking to some guys who were there, like he's been talking to Travis Jones, he's been talking to some guys who aren't even with the team anymore, like Justin Ellis, Michael Pierce. I think he said Brandon Williams, he definitely said, but he also mentioned Justin Madubuike. And he did call him Justin, by the way. He didn't say Namdi, which I thought was a little bit weird. But, that what do you think about that, Alex? I mean, is that foreshadowing of like Madubuike might be coming back? What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely a chance, but I think what we're doing, just expecting him not to come back, is probably the smart route. Don't get your hopes up. Uh, Maybe he can feel good, but if he's not medically cleared, he can't do anything about it. Much like Zach Gore, I believe in 2015 when that, or no, 2017, the 16-17 offseason, he tried to come back, went to the Lions, and he never got medically cleared. So I want to
Yeah.
believe Namdi will be back, but for right now, I just got to sit back and expect him not to come back. You mentioned the defense and the miscommunication.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why, but I was rewatching the Ravens Steelers Week 18 yesterday. There was a play, third and goal. I want to say the fourth quarter. Kenneth Gainwell 2-yard touchdown. They ran a motion to the right, and nobody. Roquan Smith didn't even move a step. He was on the right hand side of the center, and they run it to no, yeah, he's on the left hand side. Like we can look him, they run to the right. He was so late. Our $100 million linebacker just looked lost. He looked like a year one linebacker, undrafted free agent. It was that bad. And you mentioned the communication, like he should be recognizing these things. It just made no sense to me, and I hope Weaver can fix those things because that right there is, like I said, 32 million in next year's cap in defense right there. There's one of your players not recognizing a motion to a run to the right, and we get beat on a third and goal when we're up 4 points.
Yeah.
Weaver, please fix this. Minter, please fix this because we cannot go another season watching that.
Yeah, honestly, you bring up a fabulous point there. I mean, if there is anybody who Jesse Minter and Anthony Weaver that I'm hoping will get fixed is Roquan Smith. You know what I mean? Roquan Smith again, heavy cap hit, multiple time Pro Bowler Roquan Smith. That is, I mean, there's no way, there's no way that you can tell me that he's just washed and he's just done. Like he has nothing else to offer. Roquan Smith is a guy who we've seen before be that captain on the defense, calling up the opposing team's offensive plays and things like that. But it just seems like he was lost this season underneath Zach Gore. So I think that a lot of that has to do, or all of that has to do with coaching as well. I mean, you can call him Sloquan or Rozempic all you want, but I largely think that he was just out of place. He was out of place for most of this season. And I'm hoping that Jesse Minter and Anthony Weaver, the combo of those two, can bring him back to prominence, right, on this defense. And he should be a guy who's flying around the field with confidence, again, fast, physical, and not just stopping the run, not just plugging up the A and the B gap whenever the running back is trying to run between the tackles, right? Because he's pretty good at that. But like making plays out in space, calling things out before they happen. What happened to that Roquan? I need Jesse Minter and Anthony Weaver to bring that Roquan back to me for sure. Good point.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah.
A heavy
Yeah.
task ahead for Weaver and Minter.
Yeah, they got their work cut out for them, that's for sure. But it's nothing that I don't think they can handle,
Yeah.
right? Nothing I don't think they can handle. So let's go ahead and move on here. Let's get to the star of the show, right? And that's going to be
Hold
Declan
on.
Doyle, Ravens offensive coordinator. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Glaucoma says Robis. Wow. They
That's a new one.
that's
That's a
an
new
I've
one,
never
right?
heard that one. I saw Dunkin' Ronuts. I saw that one as well.
Dunkin' Ronuts is crazy.
It Twitter is a crazy place.
Dunkin' Ronuts is nuts, bro. I have not heard that one. That's a new one for me. But hey, look, I can't say I love it. I hate it, right? For what
Yeah,
it
we don't
means,
want
but
that. We want all pro
we don't
row
want
back.
that.
We
We
want
want
all
all
pro row.
pro row. Exactly. I mean, hell, we're paying them like that. So yeah, that's what we want. That's what we
What is
want. But on the Declan, we do have over 100 people watching live right now across all platforms. Shout out to you guys. This is the Purple Rain Podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, please leave a like on this video and also subscribe to the channel as well. Okay. Appreciate y'all for coming through again as always. But let's go ahead and get into Ravens' newest offensive coordinator, Declan Doyle. In this clip here, he talks about his vision for the Ravens offense. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
That's a good question. So I would say this. The way we want our offense to look, the non-negotiables are that we are physical, okay? We're detailed, and
Real quick, by the way, this question was asked by a friend of the show, Cordell Woodland, who's always asking great questions. You know, he asked about in so many words what Declan Doyle's vision is, but let's hear his answer. I'll restart it.
that's a good question. So I would say this. The way we want our offense to look, the non-negotiables are that we are physical, okay? We're detailed and we're explosive. Those are the three things that are pillars that we want to hang our hat on. I think it'd be challenging for me to speak on what's happened here in the past other than what's on tape that I've seen. Certainly in 2024, this offense was, something to be reckoned with and something that we're actively chasing to kind of get back to. But when I talk about physicality, it's those guys on the perimeter being willing to block, our guys up front coming off the ball and really trying to impose their will on the defense, trying to create expansion in the defense in the run game. Us being detailed just across the board, whether that is in the passing game, the route detail, the quarterback's footwork, his eyes, all those things, or how all of our jobs fit together in the run game, and then the explosive piece is partly players, part coaching, really chasing explosive plays in the game plan process, trying to stress defenses and things like that. And so that's really my vision for what the offense is, and that's kind of the way me and Jesse have discussed it. And obviously that can look different ways depending on your personnel, and we're still in the early stages of really stripping this down to the studs and then rebuilding it around the personnel that we have here.
Okay, rebuilding it. That
Yeah.
I think what he's talking about is probably rebuilding the line. I want to say. We didn't talk about the whole Linderbaum stuff going on. I feel like we may have to rebuild our whole interior of the line. We can definitely talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
But I like just how he kind of layered it like like a Lego, step by step by step, and physical. Obviously, I mean, when you have Derrick Henry, how can you not be physical? You're not running away from anybody with Derrick Henry. You're running straight at them and you're gonna get through them and go to the second level. And then you have your tight ends, and then you have your line. But I mean, this line has got to get fixed. I think Declan Doyle himself knows that. Imagine him watching some of the tape last year and watching number 77. Imagine what he was.
Yeah.
You have your Hall of Fame running back getting hit in the backfield and still managing to go over 1,500 yards rushing, I want to say, or 1,400. Like, come on now. So, all great things to hear. I love hearing him talk. Obviously, when he gets a little bit more comfortable, I love to hear him even more. I think today a little bit reserved. Probably don't want to give away too much, but all in all, that got me excited. I'm Declan. You got me. I'm a believer.
Yeah, and with Declan Doyle, he mentioned like stripping it down to the studs, right? I imagine, like you said, him coming into this Ravens organization and being like, "This is your team, dude. Like this is your offensive line." You know what I mean? Like he's almost like he's walking into like a third world country where like nothing is like going right. You know what I mean? Like we have like literally a third world offensive line right now, especially if Linderbaum goes. Those two guards, man, putrid play last year. And you can't tell me that he's looking at the tape. And this guy's a tape grinder. That's what Ben Johnson hired him to do as offensive coordinator for Chicago, right? So I'm sure he's already broken down the tape. This guy has no wife, no kids. So I'm sure he's taken a lot of time already to study what the Ravens have done last season. And I'm sure he's looking at 77 and 72 and thinking to himself, like, yeah, man, this ain't it, right? Obviously, Falele's a free agent. He will not be back, but I love what he says, stripping it down to the studs and making something new, because what that means is we're going to see an offense that, most importantly, nobody else in the league has seen. It's one thing having Caleb Williams and Swift and Monangai in the backfield, right? Love those guys. Those are all great players, right? But when you get Lamar Jackson, one of the best quarterbacks of all time already, and you get Derrick Henry, one of the best future Hall of Fame running back, one of the best of all time, it's just a difference, right? And I can only imagine what he's going to be able to do with those building blocks, right? And then also kind of having his input on the draft and free agency and things like that. He's going to build his show. And that's what really excites me about this, and I know I was super critical about Declan Doyle when we originally hired him. It was like, he's so young, like Ravens are win now mode, things like that. But everything that I've heard him say, first of all, this guy is all business, strictly business. I mean, the way that he talks, right, and he communicates with the media alone, he seems wise beyond his years, right? And that's what's super important to me. But also the checks and balances, like I also mentioned, it's not just Declan Doyle off on his own. He's got a senior offensive assistant in Joe Lombardi who is going to be coaching him up in a way throughout this process as well. So love what I'm hearing so far from Declan Doyle, and of course with the his offensive vision for this Ravens team. Because listen, man, he also mentioned another thing that I don't have it pulled up here, but
Mhm.
he mentioned how like utilizing Lamar Jackson, he understands, and I've told you this before, Alex, like he understands that when you are defending Lamar Jackson, you have to defend the play that was scripted and schemed up. But when that breaks down and your defense gets it right and breaks down that play from the Ravens, now you have to defend Lamar. So you basically have to defend two plays every possession. I mean, every down, right? Every rep. And the fact that he understands that, and he also talked about how, yeah, it's not just going to be chaos when Lamar Jackson gets flushed out of the pocket. He extends plays and things like that. He also mentioned how he wants to be able to coach guys up to make sure that, the blocking, even when Lamar Jackson is scrambling, things like that, the blocking is still holding up well, and receivers are still running different routes, and making sure that the scramble drills are working well, things like that. He understands, he gets it. He just gets it. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. I love this about this kid. I know I keep calling him a kid, and you guys in the comments have like checked me on that. Like, please stop calling this grown man a kid. I get it. I get it. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I'm just so used to
NFL
saying that.
terms and
In NFL terms, he is a kid, right? Rick Minter calls him a whiz kid himself. You know what I mean? I know I'm not anywhere near as old as Rick Minter, but I am a little bit older than this guy. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say it.
like
Forget you
Sean
guys, but go
McVay
ahead.
was 30 getting the age jokes when he became a head coach. Uh,
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong. Declan Doyle
go
was
ahead.
with the Bears to past 2 seasons, correct? With that, or was this 1 year?
Well, just one, just
1
one.
year. Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
The Bears in 2024 had the last ranked offense. This past year, they were top 4. And I don't know if you remember how people were talking about Caleb Williams. They were talking about him a little crazy. They're saying obviously, they should have picked Jaden, and no disrespect to JD5, fantastic quarterback, but they were kind of questioning him being that number 1 overall pick. You look at the Ravens' offensive line and how poor it was last year, and why our offense dropped. Let me introduce you to the Bears offseason last year. Acquired Jonah Jackson, guard from the Rams, for a 2025 6th-round pick. They signed center Drew Dahlman for 3 years, $42 million from the Atlanta Falcons. They traded for Joe Tooney from the Kansas City Chiefs for a 2026 4th-round pick. Those 3 moves, arguably, obviously, took them from a last-ranked team to a top-ranked team because you're finally protecting your quarterback. I think this guy understands it. I think he's going to hopefully push it towards Eric DaCosta. Please build me a line. Give me some guys that can block, can keep 8 up as long as they can, because good things will happen.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I see somebody in the chat saying we need to go and get Wyatt Teller. I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? I am not mad at that at all. I am on record saying that I think we do need to, after we extend Lamar Jackson and we get a little bit more spending money in our pocket for free agency, I think we do need to go ahead and buy a proven guard. I do think we need to go ahead and buy a proven interior rusher, an interior D lineman as well, regardless of whether or not Namdi Madubuike can go, just for rotational purposes. So I totally agree there. I totally agree there. Chim Self in the chat says we need to sign an O lineman. Again, yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm right there with you, brother. Right there with you. Lock in Linderbaum. It is looking tough, right, Alex?
Yeah, so allegedly, you have to take this with a grain of salt. I saw guy on Twitter who states he has sources, and take this all with a grain of salt. I don't know if you saw the same thing too. Allegedly, we offered Linderbaum more than Creed Humphrey. The issue is the guarantees. The Ravens have some health concerns. It also came out allegedly that Linderbaum's camp, due to this free agency class not having the best linemen, are looking for tackle money for him. So you know what the tackles make. We saw what Ronnie Stanley got. We see what a guy like Trent Williams gets. That's what they're asking for, and I don't think the Ravens are going to budge. I don't think they should.
Yeah, I mean, from a business perspective, Tyler Linderbaum is driving a hard bargain here, and which he should. You know what I mean? Not You don't get too many opportunities to make generational money, and this is his opportunity, his chance to make generational wealth for him and his family, right? So I get it. At the same time, though, it's like it comes down to one of those things. Do you want to win a championship? Right? Or do you want to go ahead and just get paid the most amount of money, the max amount of money that you can get while you can? And I totally understand if he wants the latter. I totally understand that. Right. But this goes back to that whole Tom Brady mindset. Right. And I think the same thing goes for Lamar Jackson. At some point, if you are serious about winning a championship, you do have to understand that this is a business and there's only a finite amount of resources that a team can spend, no matter how much money Steve Bisciotti has in his pockets. And he's got billions, right? But the cap is right there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's going to come down to, if that were to be true, Alex, because like we said,
Yeah.
it's all alleged, right? We want to take it with a grain of salt, right? But if that were to be true, I'm not mad at Tyler Linderbaum for feeling that way, but I'm also not mad at the Ravens for saying, hey, look, we're not budging on that. We're gonna go out and we're gonna take our chance on a center. Maybe we go out and we sign a guy. Maybe we get out. I don't know, like a Connor McGovern or so. I don't know whoever else in free agency, right? Somebody like that. It could happen. It could happen.
Yeah,
But we'll
and
see though. I hope we keep Linderbaum. I do.
yeah, and Creed Humphrey's contract. This is all basing. It's 4 years, 72 million with 50.3 guaranteed. Some people, the guy also said that it's his agent possibly running it up. Maybe Linderbaum wants to stay, but I think maybe his agent wants to get more money. But then you can have like Sam here with the 199. Oh
Yeah,
boy, thank you. It's not dollars, too.
pounds.
Not even dollars, man.
Love it. Love
Oh,
it. Appreciate it, Sam.
thank you, Sam. It could be the whole franchise tag could come into equation, and we've seen how that goes. So it's gonna
Yeah,
probably be. Hopefully, we get Lamar done, and this can be the saga of the offseason. I'll take the Linderbaum saga over Lamar saga any day of the week. But
yeah.
Chef Spicy is right. It's a massive number. Let me pull up how much it is for the center.
I think it is 27 across the O line. I want to say it is 27.
Yep,
I could.
27.7.
Yeah, yeah. Which is a massive number to pay Tyler Linderbaum, just for a one-off franchise tag year. So, I mean, again, if the agent is driving that hard bargain, then Linderbaum might be gone. And I would assume that if he is gone, he's not going to go to a contender, at least not on the same level as the Ravens. So it'd be like, good luck, buddy, right? But I mean, we'll see. We'll see, right? I hope the Ravens can retain Linderbaum because I don't want Lamar Jackson to go back to dealing with snap issues from whoever's under center. I think I saw somebody in the chat say, do they have a backup plan if Linderbaum is no longer with the team? I mean, if as of right now, if the Ravens had to play a game tomorrow without Linderbaum, who would be there? Like Corey Bullock,
Correct.
right? Yeah,
And not to be that guy, do we trust their backup plan? We saw a backup plan be Alejandro Villanueva. And how did that work out? We saw a backup
that's
plan
true.
be Cooper Rush. And how did that
Yeah,
work out? So
yeah,
forgive me for not trusting EDC on this one, but I hope you have a set in stone plan, and hope Declan Doyle can kind of get in his ear and say, hey, Bears rebuilt their line, went from worst to top four or five. Do the same
yeah,
here.
for sure, for sure. Um, Let me see here. Chef Spicy Rice says also we can draft a center.
That is true.
Yeah, we
Get a
might
guy
have
from North
to.
Dakota State. They
Yeah,
produced
we might have
them in
to
Iowa.
for sure.
They get you good linemen.
Yeah. Chicken Box says we got $2 towards the extension already
Good,
from
good
the
news,
super
Chicken Box.
chat.
Good news. Since that's the pound, it's $2.69 in US dollars. We
Oh,
already got
nice.
more.
There we go.
We
Shout
already
out to
got more.
Sam. Shout out to
Shout out
Sam,
to Sam.
man. Appreciate it, Sam, making it rain here on this episode 381 of the Purple Rain podcast. We appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and move on here with Declan Doyle and what he had to say here. So a lot of the talk around town is not only just his age, right? Because he mentioned that as well. He said like we had been mentioning, Alex, like he says that his age is not really a problem. He's always been too young for whatever job he's gotten, but he's excelled at these jobs as well. So, I mean, I expect nothing different here, or at least I hope. But he was asked about this being his first time calling plays, right? And this is what he had to say about that.
I've been preparing for a long time. Obviously, as soon as you kind of step into this job, you start to be a part of the process of the game planning. And so, more so than anything, like yes, you are calling a play on game day, but the prep during the week is where the work exists, and the game planning and being able to shoot holes in things and work with others. The one area where I have prepared to actually call it every game that I've been a part of in the NFL, I go out 3 hours early and I'll walk the field and kind of basically simulate 4 drives. And I've done that since I got in the league in 2019 as a quality control coach in New Orleans, because I knew that I was really young when I got hired there. I was 22, and I knew that the first time I was going to call plays probably wasn't going to be in a smaller setting. It was probably going to be with the bright lights, and I felt like I needed to prepare for that early. So in that way, I've kind of been preparing just to be able to call it and kind of how your mind works. But really, the work during the week is what counts, and that's been a part of really every job that I've had.
You got to watch out for guys like these.
Mm.
These are the guys that manifest stuff and it comes to life. 22 years old, envisioning him. So he was most likely at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
Yeah.
Think of that, tons of Super Bowls. Envisioning himself calling plays. You kind of want one of these madmen at OC. I mean, also I saw in the clip of him on the lounge, him basically saying, or it might have been this kind of talking about whether he'll call plays on the sideline or above. He could do, week by week thing. I
Yeah.
love it. He isn't scared of anything. I mean, Declan Doyle, you're saying all the right things. It's like, don't love bomb me. Don't introduce me to a vibe you cannot keep.
Yeah.
Do not do that because I'm feeling it right now. Like, buttering me up. You got me flowers. Like,
Hey,
it's just great to hear. It's great to hear.
that's the perfect way to put it too. That's the perfect way to put it. And we know something. We know a thing or two as Ravens fans about being love bombed. So hopefully that's not what's going on here. But I am loving the things that he's saying. One thing stood out to me here, Alex. So he mentioned how since 2022, he has envisioned himself calling plays. And the way that he's prepared himself to do so is before every game, he walks up and down the field and envisions calling plays for the first 4 drives. I mean, we're talking like the first quarter, right? First quarter and a half, right? That's just all in his mind, all up here in the dome, ready to go. And that's a big reason why you saw, last year, a lot of people said, especially early in the season, and maybe this is a little bit of cause for concern, where Caleb Williams and the Bears, they would open up really strong, right? At least for the first half of the season, they would open up pretty strong, and you could tell like a lot of the game plan was just so locked in, so dialed in. They were moving the ball, moving the ball, moving the ball. But then Caleb Williams started to struggle. I think that he won't have those same issues with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry at his disposal. So what that tells me is that he wants to start fast, right? He wants to start these games scoring points. We already know exactly what we want to do. Not to say that Todd Monken never did this himself, but I'm sure not on this level, right? He's not thinking at the level of this guy here. I was almost called him a kid again, but you guys get what I mean. You guys get my point. I love that. I love the preparedness. You know what I'm saying? I love the just how, again, this guy just means business, man. He means business. He's an X's and O's guy. He's a data cruncher. Like he crunches numbers. You can tell he crunches numbers in his head, like day and night, probably in his sleep. Right? He lives, breathes, and dreams football and the offensive side of the football. And you can just tell by the things he's saying here. I love it.
So you're telling me this guy envisioned himself calling a flea flicker to Luther Burden? Caleb, I know you remember what play that was week 3 against the Cowboys last year. Like this guy, like that's what he thought he was gonna draw up. I mean, I'm just saying what he can do with this team, with the guys we got, and hopefully with maybe guys we can sign, trade for, draft.
Yeah.
Got your work cut out for you, but all the right things are being said. I'm very
Yeah.
excited. It's just
Oh,
very
for sure.
for me.
For sure. For sure. One more thing here. We got one last clip. We got
Okay.
one last clip. Before I get to that, though, I see somebody in the chat. Sam says he also felt bad for Anthony Levine Sr. getting cut off by the reporters when talking about special teams with the sad face emojis. I did notice that because I was listening to the conference in my car. Right, I was driving around and Anthony Levine Sr., he got on the mic. He didn't necessarily say anything too profound or too like, where you just had to run that back. You know what I mean? Like he said a lot of cool stuff like the guys he's worked with in the past and how they respect him and he respects the guys and all that good stuff. And he was thanking Jesse Minter over and over again for the opportunity. He said some good stuff. But listen, we already know Anthony Levine Sr., he is a special teams specialist, right? He was that when he was a player. I totally believe he's going to be that as a coach as well. But one of the reporters did cut him off like mid answer, right? He was like saying something about special teams. And then reporter just like started speaking up like, oh, so Declan Doyle, what about, this, that, and the third? I was just like, damn, bro,
Yeah.
it's kind of messed up, right?
All right, Jerry
But
Coleman or Mike Preston, if I'd have
yeah,
bet.
yeah. But I do agree. Torres says here, bro needs some PR training. Anthony Levine Sr. I do agree with that. You can tell he hasn't really spoken in front of media before, right? He needs a little bit of PR training. But shout out to Anthony Levine Sr. Man, staple with the Baltimore Ravens, absolute staple. Can't wait to see what he brings to the team as well.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's go ahead and see here. This last one. So this last one, Alex, it got a little bit controversial.
Okay.
Right, got a little bit controversial. Declan Doyle was talking about OTAs and his
Uh,
expectations. Right,
okay.
let's go ahead and take a listen.
We would expect him to be here, and certainly it is voluntary. And so, but it's also, if you want to say that you're going to win a championship, you want to say that you have championship standards and those are your goals and your expectations, certainly that's going to take work, that's going to take collaboration, that's going to take the beginning of building the relationship with their coaches, other players, starting off this next regime on the right foot. And so that would be those guys getting in here, us being able to work with them hands-on and be able to kind of get this thing going in the direction that we want to, and making improvements so that we set ourselves up where when we come back in for training camp, we hit the ground running. We already have kind of shared knowledge, shared language, and we're able to go right to work.
I can see how it's controversial, but from the
Hmm.
coach, I get it. I do get it. Brand new offense being installed. It's not a Harbaugh team. It's not, Harbaugh brought in Munkin, and that culture's still there. Brand new culture. I do agree. I would like to see him there. You can only have so much time practicing, those few months. So I would like to see him there. I mean, could he said it different? Maybe, but I get the message. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with him. I'm in full lockstep with him here. I mean, I think that everybody from Lamar Jackson to Jordan Stout,
Yeah.
they need to make sure that they are in attendance for OTAs. And of course, training camp, that all that's mandatory. Mini camp, everything, bro. Everything. Whatever you can do. Take as many hours of the day that you can. Right? It's no longer an extracurricular thing. It's no longer familiar faces again with Harbaugh and Munkin and Zach or whoever the coordinators are, right? It's a totally new staff and a much younger staff as well. For the players, you should feel excited about this opportunity. I know if it were me and I'm not a professional football player, I would want to be there to meet these guys. Hey, how you doing? My name is such and such. I can't wait to play for you. I can't wait to collaborate with you and let's get this thing done this year. And that goes from day one, and that includes OTAs, right? So I think Lamar Jackson should be there. I know I said from Lamar to Jordan Stout, but Lamar Jackson historically doesn't really show up to OTAs. He might show up for like a day, right? Or two, right? But then after that, he just kind of goes ghost until it's time for the real deal training camp and stuff like that. No, I want those guys there every single day. I want them talking to these coaches, right? And building that relationship because that's what it's gonna take, right? I mean, he mentioned it himself. Like if you talk about you want to win a Super Bowl, you want to hoist that trophy at the end of the year, it's going to take work. It's going to take the togetherness like we're preaching here, right? We have to be together as much as we can, right? If you allow other teams in the league to get legs up on you, like a leg up on you, I mean, this league is a game of inches, right? Every team is damn good. Everybody's getting paid millions of dollars. Every coach is a genius, right? We're not the only fan base sitting here talking about, oh, we love, our hires and things like that. I mean, there's fan bases all around who have hired new coaches, who have hired, Clint Kubiak and a lot of the other coaches as well around the league
Steelers,
who have
Bills.
Steelers, Bills, Joe Brady, Mike McCarthy, maybe not Mike McCarthy and the Steelers. I don't know if they're that high on him. But you know what I mean? You get my point if you're listening out there, right? Like you got to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to make sure that, everybody's on the same page because that was a huge issue last year. You got to be on the same page. So I totally feel Declan Doyle and I'm in lockstep agreement with him here. Everybody needs to show up. All hands on deck.
I see Don mention. He said Bateman needs to be there. Bateman might not be on the team come OTA, so we'll see. We'll see how that looks. But you want everybody there, like you said, to Jordan Stout, to Nick Moore, the long snapper, to Corey Bullock, the undrafted free agent center. You want all those guys there because it's a brand new team. It's a brand new just philosophy. You only have so much to learn it. So do it then and get a head start. And just when training camp comes around, you're already light years ahead.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I see some of you guys in the chat saying you don't care about it. These are grown men. And I understand that too. But at the same time, there's other grown men on other teams who are showing up for their teams at OTAs and not, they're not wasting any opportunity to get to know their guys, right? To collaborate and really get on the same page with each other. So, like Declan Doyle said, I mean, it's just as simple as this. If you talk about wanting to win a championship, you got to act like it. You want to talk that talk, you have to walk the walk. Right. So that's really it. Those were the only clips that I had. Those are the biggest takeaways from, this presser today. Love hearing our guys talk, for the first time all together, Alex. And any other big takeaways or anything that else you want to bring up here about that?
Not really. I'll have to go back and watch the full, maybe an hour of it. I didn't get to catch it, but hearing these clips definitely was exciting to hear. And I can't wait to hear, what I missed. So thank you for having the clips. Definitely a new era and definitely be excited.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and leave it there for this episode of PRP. This episode 381. Chicken Box says here, Ravens do it for Jesse Jackson. Rest in peace to the Reverend Jesse Jackson as well, passed away the other day. Hate to hear that, but rest in peace to him for sure, and condolences to his family. So again, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel as well. That helps us out a ton, especially the like. If you're not sold yet, you don't want to sub just yet. Listen, I get it, man. I get it, right? But maybe just leave a like on the video. That helps us out with the algorithm so we can grow this channel. We're quickly, actually, very, very quickly approaching 6,000 subscribers, Alex. We're maybe 6 or 7 away. 6 or 7 subscribers away, right? From 6,000. You know what I mean? So if you're not subbed yet, exactly. If you're not subbed yet and you want to help us get to 6K, please go ahead and consider subbing. Again, we appreciate y'all. Thank you to everybody who, donated. Also, big shout out to Tila as well for gifting the 5 memberships in the chat in the beginning of the episode. We appreciate you so much for that, Tila. And one thing before we get out of here, those of you guys who watch my show Sudden Reactions here on PRP or on the Sudden Reactions YouTube channel, we're actually going to be going live on that channel in about 20 minutes here. About 20 minutes to a half an hour. We will be live on Sudden Reactions. There will be a guest on the show tonight, so you're not going to want to miss that one. We're going to have a lot of fun as usual. Just a little special start time tonight. So if you want to check that out, be sure to check back into PRP and Sudden Reactions so you can see the stream for that. But shout out to all of you guys. Again, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through to episode 381 of the Purple Rain Podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, stay positive, test negative.
Yes. And never, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This has been episode 381 of PRP. We are going to catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.